Kitty hopes you earn $17 million legally. My name is David Scott Gant. I stole $17 million and Zach Galifianakis played me in a movie. Ask me anything. In October of 1997, I was a vault supervisor for armored truck company Loomis Fargo when I made off with $17.3 million. At the time it was the second largest cash robbery ever to happen on US soil. A movie based on the heist starring Zach Galifianakis, Kristen Wiig, Owen Wilson, Jason Sudeikis, Kate McKinnon and Leslie Jones and directed by Judd Hess, the guy who made Napoleon Dynamite, is out now on Blu-ray and DVD. What happened to the $2 million that is still unaccounted for? Did you really only go to Mexico with $50k? No idea where it is. I only ever had what I took with me and what was sent to me. Would you tell us if you knew? Hahaha. Nope. I've read that once the FBI actually closed in on you, you were relieved because you were fearing for your life at that point. Any truth to that? How did it actually feel when the FBI took you in? I felt relieved. I knew that things were getting ready to come to an end, and getting caught was a stress reliever, even if I knew I was going to jail. It's crazy how many times I've heard criminals say this. The movie is hilarious. How accurate was the movie? Well, it's based on a true event, and there are accurate bits sprinkled throughout. However, it's a Hollywood comedy. Why did you do it? I just wanted to change my life. In hindsight, the quick and easy way is not always the best way. I do not recommend doing what I did. But would you recommend it if you had not been caught? No. Philosophically, I would not recommend it. However, a life in the Caribbean wouldn't have been so bad, I think. Prior to planning and executing the robbery, would have you ever thought of yourself as an armored car robber? If not, when was the turning point? Prior to, I would have never even considered it, but one day life kinda slapped me in the face. I was working sometimes 75 to 80 hours a week for $8.15 an hour. I didn't even have a real home life, because I was never there. I was working all the time and unhappy, which is understandable considering how old I was at the time. I felt cornered, and one day the joking in the break room about robbing the place suddenly didn't seem so far-fetched. David, what do you feel like was your biggest mistake in the heist? Getting too many people involved. It seems like you got away with it for a while until all of your cohorts started talking too much. To be honest, doing it at all was my biggest mistake, but that thought comes with a bit of perspective. I will say though, if you have a secret it's best to keep it to yourself, lol. What are Jandis and Kelly up to now? Did you stay in touch with them? Masterminds was a fun movie. Were you offended that they portrayed you as an idiot being so easily manipulated? No idea. No. Glad you liked the movie. And it would take a lot more than that to offend me. I thought it was funny. What is the biggest difference between the real you and how you were portrayed in the movie? Something that was super accurate? Well, I'm taller than Zach, and we have different Carolina accents. He even says that he played a much dumber version of me. I'm actually pretty laid back. Something that was very accurate was the victory dance when leaving the vault. Was the victory dance caught on CCTV like in the film? If so, is there anywhere we can go to see the real victory dance? Lol. Truthfully, I don't know. I kinda hope it's out there somewhere. Lol. Has this affected your ability to get a job? Being a quasi-famous bank robber and all? Good question. Oddly, most employers are very understanding, as long as you are honest with them up front. Have you had problems getting positions of trust at all? I'll be honest and say I probably have to put forth a bit more effort. Curious, how would you even begin? I stole $17 million from my last employer, but I did my time, and it won't happen again. Oh, that's okay. We don't have $17 million to steal, so it's all good. There is no gentle ways of broaching the subject. Must don't really believe the $17 million part at first. Hello David. How was life in prison? And what is the biggest lesson you learned from this whole experience? Well, move into a broom closet with 2 other people and eat hospital food every day. That part really sucks. It's supposed to suck to discourage returning. Freedom is a precious thing. Did you get to spend much time on set? What was it like to have a movie based on your story? I did get to spend a good amount of time on the set in North Carolina, and having a movie based on my story was a bit surreal and a bit funny, to be honest. When I first got there, nobody knew who I was. They just thought I was another producer or something, and when they realized, they were very gracious and curious. What did you dream of spending the money on? Well, my long-term plan was to bank the money, buy a boat and kinda cruise around the Caribbean, fish and dive. Kind of a permanent tourist, if you will. What kind of boat would it have been? I wanted something that would go mostly unnoticed. I was looking at a small, 40 feet, trawler. Why didn't you do this? I assume you got caught first, but why not make a beeline for a country with no extradition laws / international water? Well, you know what they say about hindsight. What do they say about hindsight? Hindsight is 20/20. How do you feel about your actions 20 years later? Would you have not done it altogether, looking back, or would you have done things differently to make sure you got away with it? If I hadn't have done what I did, my life would be completely different now. The things that have happened in my life since then have led me to having a lovely wife that I wouldn't have met if I didn't move here after I got out, which led to us having a wonderful child. That being said, my actions years ago were from someone who was very different than I'm now, and while I think what I did was wrong, well, at this point it is what it is. How much did you make off the movie? I didn't get money for this. What I got was a great vacation and a chance to tick something off of my bucket list. I know that isn't exciting to most people, but I, regular Joe, had the chance to be on a movie set. Who wouldn't want to do that? Plus the food truck was awesome. My wife called me a hobbit for having second breakfasts. How is your life now? Can you relate to the one you were before all this? My life is actually pretty ordinary. The movie really did not change a thing. I still get up in the morning and go to work just like everyone else. If you could have anyone besides Zach Galifianakis play you in a movie, who would it be? Morgan Freeman. He's calm like I am and has a great voice, like he could read the back of a Lunchable and I would listen. Did you manage to bury any of the money before you got busted? Nope. And FYI, American currency uses an ink that never really dries, and burying money can lead to mold and rot, and thus worthless money. What was the dumbest thing you purchased with some of that money? The 4 pairs of boots I bought in one day. Shrug. What can I say, they were nice, and I was impulse shopping. So I haven't read your story or anything, but what was your thought process going into the heist? I planned backwards, where I wanted to go, and then how much I would need to get there. Did you help at all with the movie, directing, explaining how it went, etc? If so, how was working with them? I consulted on some of the props and sets in the movie. It was a joy working with Jard, Zach and the rest of the cast and crew. This must not have been the first thing that you stole. How did you start and work your way up to the big jobs? Actually it was. I was whistle clean before this. Did you have to claim the stolen money on your tax return that year? That might sound like a dumb question, but think about it. Once you were caught and everything was sorted out, there must have been a known amount of money in which the FBI, etc. determined that you had spent at that point. The spent money would have technically been untaxed income, so I'm just curious if the IRS or someone contacted you one day, said, so yeah, we need you to pay taxes on the dollars that you spent. Or did they not even bother and consider it lost currency? Good question. The short version is that it was all added onto my fines, which add up to around 3.8 million. Wow. Did you declare bankruptcy? Are you going to be paying that back for the rest of your life? How do you manage to live with that kind of a fine? He didn't shout it, he declared it.